Hey guys, Straho here. It is so nice to see you again. I am ready at last with my Windows NT4 Dual Pentium MMX troubleshoot, install review, and benchmark video. I had multiple problems to resolve, but in the end, after a couple of days, and I am not exaggerating, it really took me a couple of days until it was all good and the machine was performant and stable. The NT4 is much more stable than Windows 95 due to the use of protected memory and how in our case is not the robot from Space Odyssey but a hardware abstraction layer that prevents direct hardware access and misbehaving programs from messing with the hardware, thus crashing your computer. That said, beware of shitty drivers. They could cause a blue screen of death that will make your everyday life much more miserable and would require the system to be restarted frequently. For example, I kept getting BSODs when I was copying files from the CD-ROM to my SCSI hard drive. I got angry and changed the SCSI controller, the hard drive, as well as all drivers. What else? Despite shipping a year later than Windows 95, by default there is no plug and play support and no device manager. For example, for me to install the creative AWA64, first I had to install the plug and play Windows NT driver, which is included in the installation disk. Then I installed the AWA64 and it worked like a charm. In my build video, I told you I had a problem with the voltage regulator, so this is where I started. I had to solder a new one I got from the United Kingdom. Truth be told, the two voltage regulators actually costed me more than the board itself, but I wanted new ones cause the whole machine is cool and I wanted to do it properly. Just a quick check to see if everything works. Also, my voltages were bang on. I measured them with a multimeter. And after that done, let's proceed with the installation of the operating system. I tried booting from a CD-ROM, NT4.0 installation, and my motherboard both support booting from a CD-ROM, but my SCSI controller would not cooperate, so I have changed it with one that supports CD-ROM boot, and unfortunately that had a partial effect only, because the CD-ROM would then boot from anything but anti-kernel operating system. It could boot DOS, could boot Windows 95 and 96 and 97 and 98, but won't boot NT4 2000 or Windows XP. I then decided to create the three installation floppies and try to install it directly from the hard drive, which took me an hour because floppies don't tend to age well. I trashed like 15 floppies, all brand new floppies. They were just dead from the box. Bad sectors, data corruption, enormous pain in the butt. Despite the floppy massacre, I was finally able to boot, but was then unable to see my SCSI drive even after I loaded the proper SCSI controller drivers. I also missed the option to set properly my boot devices in the system BIOS, only drives AC and CD-ROM. All those problems started to look to me suspiciously like a BIOS issue and probably resolvable by a BIOS update. At least I hope so. So after a little digging in the ruins of the internet, I found all those glorious 128 kilobytes, of BIOS ROM goodness. This is an important step. A crash or a restart now would probably mean a corrupted system BIOS, and I would need an EEPROM programmer to fix it. After the update, all problems disappeared altogether, and I was able to finally set up my boot devices properly. But most importantly, I could boot from a CD-ROM and install Windows NT4.0 Server Enterprise Edition with no problems at all for the first time. Quite significant upgrades, actually more than a year and a half between the BIOS releases, lots of new features and settings. Nothing really special, just casually formatting my hard drive. Nothing really special, just casually copying some files. Now, when I say no problems, bam, the hard drive had some shitty diagnostics information from the computer it had been part of, maybe, I don't know, decades ago, and that information was written in the master boot record that appeared after the first setup restart, so I had to rebuild the master boot record to continue install. Yes, setup is initializing, and I need to my original Windows NT Server CD-ROM in my CD-ROM drive. Yes, okay, continue now. Come on, 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 come on. Yep. What? Nah. Okay. And let's write my name. Who am I? Who's your daddy? Yes, it's Mr. Caveman. Some cool name for the system, and we're gonna set it up like a standalone server. Pretty straightforward. Secure password. I don't need an emergency disk. Let's install everything. Mostly everything. I don't need this. Okay, come on. Networking part of the setup process next. I will also install a web server on the machine. The setup process auto-detected the Intel networking interface adapter, which was a nice touch. TCP/IP hasn't changed a lot in the last 40 years, so I'm gonna set it up now. Of course, you can also do it later when the system is up and running. I will be using Google DNS servers, although when this machine was in its prime, Google was probably in somebody's sketchbook. Some additional setup of the FTP and web servers, along with config for their respective root directories. And let's find my time zone. And yes, Mr. Caveman is in Eastern Europe. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. Please do not panic and head to the escape pods. Oh, come on. Please. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. And the moment of truth. Ta-da! And just when you think it's over, you need to install Windows NT Service Pack 3. I need to apologize for the screen capturing quality. I use a shitty capturing thingy and it cuts parts of the screen. At some point I will invest on a better capturing equipment, but that time is still yet to come. Visually, the NT4 includes some enhancements from Microsoft Plus for Windows 95, and visual experience could be further upgraded by installing Windows Desktop Update, which is included with Internet Explorer for setup. That said, it did update the look of Windows Explorer and added some cool features, but it also killed my cool plus icons. You will see that later. I wonder what will happen if I submit that as a bug to Microsoft. Good job from Matrox. They still provide support and drivers for this ancient graphics adapter on this ancient operating system. Good job, keep up the good work. I've chosen this version of NT4 because, well, mostly because I like it how it sounds. Enterprise Edition, heavy corporate shit. It is designed for high demand and high traffic computing. Other than the x86, it supports also Alpha, MIPS, and PowerPC micro architecture. It includes Service Pack 3 as you saw, which I have further upgraded to version 6A. Since it's a server, I have also installed the Internet Information Services, which means that I will be able to host a web page on this baby. Just look at this web page, it's so 90s I'm gonna die. While most programs written for Windows 95 would run on Windows NT just fine, many 3 games would not, partly because of limited DirectX support and shitty drivers. Speaking of DirectX, NT4 does not support anything newer than DirectX 3.0 officially, but you can hack install DirectX 5.0 in safe mode, of course, because you will get a sharing violation if you try in normal desktop environment because you've guessed it, some files are in use. It's just a matter of replacing some files with others and running a registry entry. There we go, 5.0. And this update killed my cool plus icons and replaced them with shitty icons. Much uglier icons than before, along with this hideous active desktop. Despite that, Windows Explorer looks much better now. Not that you can see it because of my shitty capturing equipment. And I know I told you this machine is not for gaming, but I cannot help myself. Before that, overview of the system. Everything is bang on, everything is normal. Windows NT4 Service Pack 6A, our dual processor, 128 megabytes of system memory, our BIOS, our graphics adapter, and our CPU again, 32 kilobytes of cache, level 1 for code and some for data, along with information for our processor. And system memory, most of it is free. System chipset, Intel 430HX, a half a meg of level 2 cache on the motherboard, and 8 slots of memory, 16 megabytes of EDO each. Our system BIOS after the update, it's still 2 years, more than 2 years old though, but that doesn't matter. And our cool system's name again, Cave server. Graphics adapter. What can I tell you? 66 MHz GPU clock and 66 SDR graphics memory, 66 megapixels and megapixels per second. OpenGL support 1.1 is supported. Once again, DirectX version 5. Memory performance. After the initial benchmark, I did not like the results, so I rebooted my system, went to the system BIOS, I reduced some memory timings, fiddled a little with some more options, and I got 15% improvement in memory speed, which is great. Duo CPU performance. Well, the benchmark took 2 minutes to complete, and it is right where I expected it to be. Nothing interesting here, and since it is the top processor speed available on this motherboard, no room for overclocking. Or is it? Maybe a hack? We'll check it out. And floating point performance is pretty close to a Pentium Pro, actually, Dual Pentium Pro, which is interesting. Maybe the lack of multimedia extensions there, I don't know. We'll check it out when I build my Pentium Pro. Quite nice performance here from our hard drive, measured with Sysoft Sandra. Multiprocessor test? No? Why not? Videos play well, although on modern monitors it's funny and pixelated as hell. And for all our newbies here, this is how you get a trailer in the 90s from a CD-ROM that is distributed with a gaming magazine. No fancy YouTube back then. MP3s are in their prime here. What can I tell you? 1 hour to download a song over dial-up. But due to copywriting stuff, I cannot show you how I listen to the amazing Need for Speed 3 soundtrack. So you have to trust me on that one. It is stunning. Also, look at that sweet creative control panel. To be honest, sound quality is great, even better than my current gaming rig. I have some parasitic sounds there, which I am unable to determine the cause. Overall, I am very impressed by the creative AWA64. DVDs do not work due to missing overlay capabilities of my Matrox graphics adapter. I will find a better card. I will tell you why later, and we'll try again in the future. Nope, but StarCraft as well as Age of Empires will both work flawlessly. Yes, come here, you peasant. Kill me an animal. Oh, spirit to death. Oh, this is so vegan unfriendly, guys. Yes. Don't run. Come and meet your fate. Yes, and I will now leave you to rot. And cut a tree for no particular reason. No diplomacy. I will kill them all. I could tweak a little the settings, and better resolution is available as well, but as I told you, my capturing equipment is unbelievably shitty.
Permission to speak freely, sir. I'm not sure you know what you're doing. If you're going to send us into hostile territory and you want us to defend ourselves, then use the attack command. But if you want us to ignore enemy fire and go exactly to the spot you targeted, then use the move command. Now, which'll it be?
And as you saw, Age of Empires and StarCraft both work great. Unfortunately, Quake 2 is the elephant in the room here. I was not able to get hardware OpenGL acceleration going. I know I told you that this machine is not for gaming, but it turned out so well that in the end I wanted to be able to run Quake 2 hardware accelerated. It runs software in software mode, but it's too slow and not enjoyable at all. I will probably try to run it with an ATI All-in-Wonder Pro at a later stage, which may also resolve my DVD issues. Internet kind of works. Browsers are so ancient, despite that I was lucky enough to kind of open my webpage on this Mozilla Firefox browser. TCP/IP works fine, but browsers were left somewhere in the early 2000s. Also, modern browsing is heavily CPU and memory dependent, and that means that this machine will rather explode and evaporate the city than scroll an open Facebook page. When I started building this machine, I had no idea how much work and effort I would really need to put into it. I really like the final result. I could have only dreamed of a machine like this one 20 years ago, and in a future update I will try to run proper 3D on it, mostly OpenGL games, so stay tuned. Now I have footage for 2 new episodes ready, one of them to celebrate my 100 subscribers. Thank you guys, you mean a lot to me. So see you soon. As always, if you enjoyed my efforts on this and my other videos, give me a thumbs up, or even you can subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Also, if you have any questions or advices, do not hesitate to comment. I will try to reply as soon as possible. Stay safe out there. Computer Caveman over and out.